Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John. Oh, yeah.
And we're live. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, this is Joshua Van Ness. I play drums for the WAG. How's it going, man?
It's going. I know I had you on a long time ago, but how did you guys get the name?
So before I even answer that question, the WAG has been together for 25 years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I'm the new guy. This summer was my 8th year in the band, kind of unofficially. So the band, the name was around long before I was. But as I understand it, it was, obviously the beginning of the band, and they had a gig booked, but they didn't have a band name. And the 4 current members at that time were throwing different names together, and they couldn't really decide on a name. So it's actually one of the, I think it was the ex-guitar player's wife or girlfriend said, you guys should call your band the WAG because, you guys you're so happy. You remind me of like happy puppies with their tails wagging, and which is a terrible story, by the way. But the best part of the story is that apparently everyone hated the name. And it was the only thing that they could agree on, that they all didn't like the name. So they went with the name.
So do you feel that it is, what do you call it, hard to sing happy music in this world today?
Man, I really love that question. It's interesting. I find that question interesting because the first time I saw the band, I was kind of offended, actually. Like before I joined the band, like so for those of you who don't know, I've spent a lot of time performing as a solo artist. In addition to playing drums, I can sing and play guitar. So there was a period of time where I was kind of out there doing my solo thing, and I was kind of running in the same circles as the WAG, and I think I even opened for them a couple times. And I remember seeing them and thinking like the upbeat, positive energy that the band had was a gimmick. Like I didn't think it was real. I thought they were acting. I thought it was cheesy. And I can honestly say to you, and this is kind of the answer to your question, I can honestly say to you that I think I felt that way because I was in the worst place I hope I will ever be in my life. Like I was in this place where I was kind of coming to grips with the fact that my marriage was falling apart. And, it was just a real dark, unhappy, heavy time for me. So much so that I saw these 3 performers who were having a great time, and I was almost offended, And I'll say this, the WAG, we've never really been the cool kids on the block. And I think a lot of it is because, a lot of our music isn't really coming from a place of angst or a dark place. And I can tell you now, and I learned quickly that it's not because they're acting or they're being fake, or and certainly not because we all have perfect lives. We don't. This band's been through a lot of challenges, and they lost their original drummer. Their original drummer passed away, and they have all kinds of problems that everybody goes through on a day-to-day basis, but they just choose to be positive. We choose to be positive. And I mean, I think it's only difficult from the standpoint that that's not always the cool and trendy thing to do. I think people tend to gravitate more towards angst and the whole misery loves company thing. And I don't want to put anybody down. I mean, obviously on your show, you have a lot of heavy music, and that can come from a place of angst and all kinds of emotion. And sometimes it doesn't. But I think that makes us different. And I think just the fact that we're different makes it a little harder for us to be grouped with other artists and other bands. And, so therefore we end up having a little bit of an uphill battle trying to gain acceptance. But, to me, I think that's like the most rock and roll thing you can do is to not fit in. Right. I mean, like we didn't start doing this because we thought we were going to fit in. We did this because we didn't fit in, and this band is unapologetically, genuinely ourselves. So while it may be a little bit difficult to answer your question, it's also very gratifying and very satisfying that we can be ourselves and that, we can win people over and make people happy.
I'm going to go in a totally different direction here. If you can pick one of your songs to be remembered by when you're no longer here, what song would that be?
Wow, dude, that's heavy. One song to be remembered by.
And it could be any of your projects.
Okay, so for those of you who are watching who don't know what I do, I stay pretty busy. I play in a lot of different bands, and the WAG is kind of my primary project. It takes up the biggest chunk of my time, but there's other artists that I work with as well. So wow, that's a tough question, man. There's a song on the latest WAG record, which is called Blue Bottles and Copper Coins, called Breath by Breath. And so coming from a personal standpoint, I wrote that tune. Alicia sings it, but I wrote it. And it came from a very sincere place. It's not a happy song, really. So it kind of stands out in the WAG catalog. It's a bit different sonically from what the WAG does, but it's got a message that I think I would like to be my legacy personally. And essentially the chorus goes out, I'll stay with you in the dark. I'll sit with you in the dark. And, I've had people sit with me in dark places, emotionally. And that's something that I would like to, I'd like people to remember about me, that I'm willing to, go through the tough times with the people that I love. Another song that I really think represents the WAG very well. There's a song on our new record called Fill It With Love. It's actually the first song that the four of us have written together. And I think for that reason, the fact that we all wrote it, in some ways it's sort of the truest representation of, what the WAG does and who we are. So those are two songs that I can think of off the top of my head. But that's a really tough question to ask a songwriter, because our songs are like our children. You don't want to necessarily pick one that's a favorite or that's going to represent you for eternity, because they're all little pieces of you.
Since you just mentioned the last song, do you want me to play the video now?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. This is it's funny. We did some I don't want to say big budget videos, but we did some videos that were well received and won some awards. And we wanted to go in a different direction with this one and do something that felt a little bit more like a collection of home videos. So this is Fill It With Love.
If you're by yourself or together with many, if you're blessed with wealth or you don't have a penny, find a place that you can call home and fill it with love. From the golden shores where earth and sky meet, in a big white mansion on the cold city streets, find a place that you can call home and fill it with love. We all were made to rely upon the things we can't replace, like a warm embrace. There's a lot it seems we could be giving. If you ever feel lonely, don't keep it inside. You know you don't have to worry. You've got nothing to hide. Find a place that you can call home and fill it with love. Fill it with love. The greatest gift we have is how we spend our time. Fill it with love. Just give the best of you, and everything will work out fine. We hide away in these hollow spaces just to get away. Inside we stay, but if we follow our dreams, we'll find what's missing. Oh. You can honor tradition or blaze your own trail. You know you don't need permission. If it's true, it won't fail. Find a place that you can call home and fill it with love. Find a place that you can call home and fill it with love.
Dude, did we just like ruin your street cred?
No. The street cred, I don't know what that is.
Thanks for playing that, man.
No problem.
It's really weird to sit and watch your own music video. It's I don't know. I think it might be weirder than actually like listening to a recording of your own voice, you know?
I mean, I play back my shit all the time.
Do you like the sound of your own voice?
Not at all.
Right on. Nobody likes
I don't think anybody does.
Nobody does, no. I haven't met anyone yet who has, at least.
All right, so this will be a fun question. I know I asked a few hard ones, and I'm going to ask some fun ones now.
You throwing me a couple softballs now?
Yeah. If you were stuck in an elevator for 6 hours.
6 hours.
Which cartoon character would you want it to be with?
6 hours. Well, first of all, I hope I went to the bathroom before I got stuck. You know, I'm going old school here, right?
Okay.
Bugs Bunny. You know, like, because Bugs Bunny could be anything. You know, like, he could be an umpire, he could be a hula dancer, he could be a hairdresser, he could be a mobster. Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be fun. I have this thing. I'd like to meet Bugs Bunny one day.
All right, dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
You can have one musician teach you something. Who would it be?
Wow. Dead or alive, one musician teach me something. So this is going to sound cliche.
Okay.
But as a drummer, I love John Bonham.
Okay.
I absolutely love John Bonham. And I don't know that I would necessarily even need him to teach me anything. I would just love, like, to be in a room, just him and I, and a drum set, and just let him play. And just, like, soak that in.
Okay.
You know? I've heard so many stories about the power with which he played with that I don't think recordings can actually capture. You know, like, I've heard people say that he would play in it and it sounded like a jet taking off. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to feel that, you know? Yeah. So I'm going to go Bonham. That's a good question.
Okay, when you play drums,
Yeah.
are you shoeless or not?
I try to be shoeless as often as possible. Yeah. It gets a little tougher this time of year. The summer's great. I barely wear shoes at all in the summer. This time of year, it gets a little tougher, especially kind of depends on where you're playing, right? Like you go to some of these rock clubs and even some of the bigger, nice ones, like not necessarily the kind of places you want to be walking around barefoot.
Yeah.
But I more and more as I get older, like if I'm in a place like that, like I'll try to wear flip flops, and then when I get to the stage, I lose them and go barefoot.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to feel like connected to the instrument, so to speak. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of guys wear gloves too. I don't like wearing gloves. Like I want to feel the wood in my hands and kind of, like when you're really, especially as a drummer, when you're really getting into it, like you almost can't tell where your body ends and where the instrument starts.
Okay.
It's a weird feeling, but it's a lot of fun.
So as a drummer, is there any advice you would give to drummers that are coming up now?
Oh man, there's tons of advice.
Like things trying not to do.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because I'm starting to teach. I'm starting to give drum lessons, and I'm really big on posture. So interestingly enough, I met a famous drummer. I won't mention his name, but we all grew up listening to this drummer, especially in New Jersey. And I ran into him at the airport, and I recognized him. I'm like, wow, like I really thought he was taller than that. But I realized that he was kind of like this, and I think it's because he played drums like this for 40 plus years. So I always try to tell people, like, keep your shoulders back. A lot of metal guys have really good posture, actually, especially the guys that play like the blasting, like the really fast players.
Yeah.
Like they're really like honed into their technique and their posture. But the reason I keep bringing that up is just that, as you get older, it's just nature. Your body starts to hurt. And when you're playing an instrument that has as much impact, that requires as much impact as the drums, you start coming up with achy knees and achy hips and achy lower backs and your wrists. And I'm not sure if it was from playing the drums or the guitar, but all summer long, my left forearm was in pain and to the point where I couldn't lift. I couldn't work out. So the more you can avoid stuff like that, the better. So yeah, I focus a lot on that. I guess the other thing I would just say is there's a lot of things you can, and this isn't really just for drummers. This is for everybody. There's a lot of things you can do with music. Like I just mentioned the metal blasting guys, the real fast guys, and there's this whole movement in gospel music, gospel chops, where it's a very busy and aggressive and athletic style of playing. And then there's what I do. Like I'm I don't want to say I don't have chops. I definitely do, and I use them when I need to. But I pretty much just focus on trying to make music feel good. Like if I look out into the crowd when I'm playing and someone's dancing or someone's banging their head or they're swaying, like whether or not they know it, that's actually coming back to my playing. Like it comes from the rhythm and it comes from the time and it comes from the feel. And that's what I really get off on most as a drummer and as a musician. So I guess the other bit of advice I would say is just, know what you want to be good at and really focus on that. I'm not saying don't be diverse. I'm not saying don't learn different styles, but you're going to get to a certain point in your playing where, I know very good and well that if somebody needs a double bass drummer that can play ridiculously fast, I'm not good for that gig. I've got 3 buddies who do that really well, and I'll gladly give them that gig.
Yeah.
And when somebody calls them and says, hey, I got a gig where we're going to be playing like funky, groovy stuff, and I need a drummer that can really make 4 on the floor feel good, they're going to give it to me because that's what I do. I hope that wasn't too like nerdy for anyone watching.
No.
Like too drummy, you know what I mean?
But did you learn by ear or is it by notes? Well, not technically. I mean, drums are kind of different, so it wouldn't be per se notes.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a little different, but there is sort of the delineation between formal training and playing by ear.
Yeah.
I'm a mix of the two. I'm gonna say it was about 70% ear and about 30% formal training.
Okay.
The drums are actually like probably the only thing in my life that I was pretty good at the first time I did it. Not that it was magical, but like it wasn't noise the first time I sat down at a drum kit. Like it was musical, you know? And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a musical family, so I was around a lot of music, and I've just always had a really good ear. Like I can't really explain it. I don't think that's something that you can teach, but I was always sort of able to listen to music and say, okay, well, that's the kick drum, that's the snare drum, those are the cymbals, and here's how he's using his body or how she's using her body to make those sounds. When I got into particularly when I got into high school, like, so for example, I was good enough to get by my ear up until high school. And then when I got into high school, I started getting challenged a little bit more. And long story, but I kind of got forced into our marching program. And there I really had to hone in on my reading capabilities and get my chops together. And so for those 4 years in the school program and privately, I studied, music formally. But once high school ended, like I didn't go to college for it or anything like that. So, the bulk of my learning was by ear and experience, I'll say.
What is your dream concert?
To be a part of or to attend?
No, to be a part of.
Wow.
And yes, you can bring people back from.
I'm a big Black Crowes fan. And this is kind of weird for me to say because I ended up meeting the original drummer from the Black Crowes, Steve Gorman.
Okay.
And he was very cool to me, him and his entire band. So he was touring with a band that he plays with now called Trigger Hippie. And I was lucky enough to open for them at White Eagle Hall in Jersey City. And I got to hang out with them backstage a little bit. And I only bring that up just to say that it's a little weird for me to say now, but for a long time, my dream concert would have been to fill in for Steve Gorman and the Black Crowes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, dude, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to say because like, I really like what I'm doing right now. I'm really proud of the WAG for having raised the bar and we're starting to do theater shows now in larger clubs. And, I've gotten to open for some cool people. There's a guy actually you should talk to. His name is Jerry Perlinsky. He's got a band called Lost Romance. And I sit in with them every once in a while. They're more of like a punk influenced kind of post grunge kind of band.
Yeah. And
we got to open for King's X, which is definitely like one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time. So I don't want to say I've climbed the mountain, I've done it all, but like I've done some cool things and I'm continuing to do some cool things. So really the dream is just to keep pushing that bar up and keep getting bigger. I'd love to play at PNC someday, You know, for anybody who's watching doesn't know what that is, you know, we've got like an outdoor shed that probably holds maybe 10,000 people or so.
Around there.
Yeah, like I'd love to. Yeah, it's not even the size. It's just kind of like the whole being from Jersey thing. And, you know, I saw Rush there, and I saw Santana there, and I saw Prince there, and you know, the list just goes on and on. Like, I would love to do that venue, which is funny because one of the projects that I play with, Natalie Farrell, she actually did it last or 2 summers ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. She opened up for Sammy Hagar, I believe.
Yeah. Sammy Hagar and George Thorogood. Yeah. And Sammy Hagar's band was stacked. Jason Bonham was actually playing drums in that band. I think, I want to say he had Satriani on guitar. Like, it's just a crazy band, you know, like, so yeah, that's on my list. You know, I don't necessarily, it's not like I sit around and fantasize about opening for a certain band or playing with a certain band. Like, you know, I respect music to a point where, like, you know, I want to play with them all, you know, but it's just more about just pushing the bar higher and, you know, seeing how far I can take this thing, I guess. That was a political answer. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of that, how was your the UK trip?
Oh, dude, it was so great. It was really cool. We were there for 9 days. We pretty much, it wasn't so much of a tour. We pretty much did a London stay residency, if you will. And we played 5 shows in London, 5 different venues. They were all really good. Most of them were well attended. There was one show that was not very well attended. And that's because we were playing about 800 feet away from Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses was playing in Hyde Park, outdoors.
I mean,
yeah, there weren't many people in there to see us that day.
Bad promotion, that's all.
Yeah.
Bad timing.
It's well, you know, they do this summer concert series in Hyde Park. So it's not, you know, like, a couple days before it was Pink, and I think after that it was Bruce Springsteen. So, like, any time that you're up against artists that are that big, I mean, it's like good luck. But but yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, I could have thrown a baseball and hit Guns N' Roses. Like they were that close.
Really?
But yeah, it was cool. We, you know, one of the cool shows we did there, we played this place called the Half Moon, and we opened for Norda Mullen. Norda Mullen was a member of the Moody Blues for about 20 years. And when the Moody Blues got inducted into the Hall of Fame, she performed with them. And little fact about our band, Brian and Alicia are, well, more so Alicia, is a huge Moody Blues fan. So, you know, I think that was probably a big bucket list gig for her. And that show was sold out, and Norda and her band were excellent to us. So that was definitely one of the highlights of the trip.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for asking. That was a really cool trip. You know, again, this is the 25th year of the WAG. So, you know, we've been trying to go big this year. Excuse me.
All right, around our area.
Yeah.
What bands do you think we're sleeping on right now?
Well, I don't think you and I are sleeping on them. But what bands are being slept on?
Yeah.
Well, let me go a little further south for a second. There's a band called Dentist that I really, really dig. Have you heard them?
Not yet. Oh,
dude, you gotta check out Dentist. How would I describe them? Kind of post grunge as well. So, like, a little heavy, female singer. So very melodic, but like, she's one of those singers, like, she can make her voice either very pretty or very aggressive. I think you would actually love Dentist. So check them out if you get a chance. Obviously in our area, you know, there's bands like, you know, Bobby Mahoney is from our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Clyde's. There's some cool stuff. Let's see. There's a band called the DTs that I'm really digging lately. They kind of have like like a Beatles thing going on, but it's not retro. Like it's very modern. Another band that can either be very melodic and very sensitive or like really rock out. I like that. You know, like I like just personally, right? Like I dig heavy music, but like I can only be so heavy for so long. You know what I mean? So like I'll take 20 minutes of heavy and then you got to give me melodic. You know what I mean? Or or
Okay.
maybe I'll take a song that's got heavy melodic in the same song. Like so I dig bands that can be like that. I'm gonna say this. Some people know that I work with him from time to time, but I'm not like the steady drummer. So I'm gonna say Remember Jones, folks. If you haven't heard Remember Jones, go check them out. Go check him out, I should say. Wow, I mean, there's really a ton. Don't get mad at me if you're watching and it's your band. Like, don't get mad at me. Like Nick Ryan and the Mess is awesome. We're getting ready to lose Nick Ryan to Nashville, unfortunately. But
I didn't even hear about that yet.
yeah, he's getting ready to move down there, which is going to be awesome for him. He's going to kill it down there. I could go on, man. There's a ton of bands. Like a lot of, I feel really lucky. Like a lot of my favorite bands and a lot of my favorite musicians, you know, I'm friendly with, you know, like I know them. Like their names and numbers are on my cell phone. And I don't say that to be like, oh, I know all these people. I just like they're local. You know what I mean?
All right. At this time, I'm going to let you flip it on me. You can ask me anything.
You ready for this, man?
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the hot seat, brother.
I'm used to it.
Right on. I'm going to start with a question that you probably get a lot, but I'm curious. I'm personally curious as to what your answer would be.
All right.
Who is sort of the what would be like the holy grail of interviews? Like, who do you really want to sit down and talk with and pick their brains?
Jonathan Davis.
Really? You can make that happen. I think you can do that, man. Let's speak it into the universe, dude. You're gonna interview Jonathan Davis.
I would hope so at some point.
Yeah. Korn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, you can totally make that happen. That's gonna happen. And you know what, dude? I like that because that's like it's a big goal, but it's achievable. And it's really cool to like achieve big goals because then you got to sit back and be like, wow, I need bigger goals now, right? Now you're getting somewhere. That's cool, man.
So like, I'm not saying I would hang up the mic afterwards, but I'm just saying like that would be Cloud 9, you know?
Right on.
Like,
so, Korn, I'm showing my age now. Korn was really like blowing up when I was in high school.
I'm gonna say I'm a huge fan. I'm gonna say they came out in 93.
Okay.
93, 94.
I was a freshman in 94. Yeah. So that shows you folks how old I am. I was not a huge fan, but I will say this. They're one of those bands that was like, you know, like some bands are like the soundtrack of your life.
Yeah.
Like that was Korn for me. Like they were, whether I was like going to, you know, I played baseball in high school. So if I was on the bus going to a baseball game, Korn was playing. You know, I did marching band when we were going to competitions or games. Korn was playing. You know, and I really loved when they were like they covered Wicked and they were doing stuff with Ice Cube. Like, that was cool. Yeah. And their new stuff is actually, I think I probably enjoy their new stuff more than I enjoyed their old stuff. It's actually really good. I heard it the other day.
Well, they're supposed to be coming out with new stuff next year as well.
Cool. I got one more question for you. Well, okay. I can ask you more if you want me to.
Yeah.
So I often wear a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got rid of it for the summer. Probably be bringing it back pretty soon. What do you use on your beard? Do you use anything to keep your beard moisturized, or you just go all natural? How do you take care of your beard?
Well, I normally just go all natural now, because of the weather. But depends on if it's humid or not, or because it poofs out.
All right. So
I'm
if
very
it's pooping
poofy.
out, you do stuff to kind of lay it down.
Yeah, if I don't run out of stuff, yeah, I'm just letting it grow right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be ZZ Top, but I'm gonna let it grow for a little bit longer.
I feel like looking at your beard, like you probably have a hard time getting it to go down, but it'll come out. Yeah. And mine's the same way, by the way. Like I'll go out this way. It doesn't come down this way. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
so unfortunately, I'm not sure if you have the same challenge, but folks, you can see I've been bald for about 21 years now.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Okay, right on. So
I just haven't fully shaved.
Yeah. So guys like us, right? We can't change our hairstyle, so we have to it's do we wear the beard? Do we shave the beard down? Do we keep it tight? Do we let it poof out?
I'm just letting it poof right now.
Right on. It looks good, dude. It looks good. Yeah, the colder months are coming. I'll grow mine back then. Right now, I'm enjoying my boyish charm.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, dude. I had dreadlocks down to my shoulders.
What?
Yeah. You know what? I'll on my Facebook page or on my Instagram page, maybe about a week ago, I posted a picture of it, and I think a lot of people probably just scrolled by it because they didn't realize who it was.
Oh my God.
I turned 21, and my hairline just went back, and I was getting a spot in the back.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I can be the bald guy with a ponytail, or I can just cut my hair off. So I opted to just cut it off. Do you want one more question?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. What are you microwaving?
I'm not microwaving anything. Roommate is.
Okay. You can only eat one thing. This is your death row final meal. What are you eating?
Death row final meal created.
Chicken tenders and breakfast.
Probably to drink Johnny Walker Black.
Okay.
On ice.
Respect.
I'm very simple. Hamburger and fries.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be. It depends on the burger place, but yeah, I'm normally a burger and fry kind of guy. So very simple.
Okay, so I'm going tequila.
Okay.
Casamigos. Oh, you ever been to Haley's in Metuchen?
No.
All right, it's an Irish bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Best nachos you'll ever have. That's my final meal. Tequila and nachos.
Okay. Yeah, me and tequila are not friends.
Well, have you ever had good tequila? Because most people, their entrance to tequila is Cuervo, and
we're not. Me and Cuervo are not friends.
No, me either.
Yeah, good story, but no.
It's so funny that you say that. That's like an inside joke with the WAG. That phrase, good story, but no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Never gonna do that again.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
It wasn't just Jose. It was a full case of Honey Brown too.
Ooh, Honey Brown's beer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you can't really find it anymore.
I was about to say, I don't think it's around anymore. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Not that I was drinking as a kid.
Yeah, here's the thing. We grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so there's no proof of what we did.
Thank God.
Exactly.
Thank God. I have a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I don't have to grow up the way she's growing up. It's so different. And
Yeah, I don't like it.
yeah, you know, man, and it's like I'm torn between you know, I'm a pretty progressive dude, you know,
Yeah.
and but I think just because, like you said, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like there's still this element of like old school, you know, like, well, we didn't have that when I was a kid kind of mentality, right? So
Yeah.
I see both. It's kind of weird to be this age, right? So I'm going to be 44 in March.
Okay.
And you know, it's like that's young enough to understand and work with technology, but it's also old enough to remember what life was like before it, you know? And man, there's just so much that, you know, I remember walking probably about a quarter mile down the street and around the corner to a corner store to get my parents cigarettes. And you know, that the store owner knew who I was and they knew who my parents were. And I'd go down there with, you know, $5, probably less than $5 back then, whatever
Yeah.
they gave me, you know, and hey, mom wants or dad wants a pack of, you know, Cools or Marlboro or whatever they were getting. I don't remember. And I would do that on a regular basis, probably before the first grade. You know, like we'd get arrested for that now. And
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that'd be child endangerment. And I get it, you know, because you know, the other thing about our age is that we have the burden of you know, just knowing more about the world. You know, I think back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, we didn't realize how many weirdos were out there. You know, now you can go on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and you can see all the weirdos. You know,
Yeah.
they're there. You know? But like, I guess the part that bums me out is that we had such a freedom growing up. You know, it was be home when the sun goes down, when the street lights come on, and you know, take your bike and go get lost. You know, like that's how we grew up, and I just feel bad for today's youth for not having that type of freedom. You know,
Not even just that. $10 concert tickets.
Oh, God.
$7 concert tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Waiting on the line a day before they go on sale, or calling it in
Yeah.
on Ticketmaster, or Sam Goody, going to Sam Goody and picking
Oh, yeah.
up concert tickets.
Well, that's an interesting topic, right? Because we're both kind of on the other side of that now, right? Where we're both involved in the entertainment industry and,
Yeah.
and shows, and you know, so I understand that, especially nowadays, that artists aren't making a lot of music on their record sales. You know, the bulk of their income is based upon concert sales
And merch.
and merch, right? So, you know, I understand the need to have a higher ticket price. But again, when we were kids, if you had a job, it didn't have to be a good job. It didn't have to be a well-paying job. You know, I worked at the gas station when I was a kid. I could afford to go see a few shows a month.
Yeah.
You know, big shows. You know, I didn't have front row tickets, but I was there. Sorry about that. We got interrupted there. I was saying, you know, I had a job at the gas station and I could afford to go see shows.
Yeah.
You know? You know, so now, like, you know, I think about some of the shows the WAG is doing, and we're at theaters and things like that, and we're fighting to keep our ticket price affordable. You know, and it's difficult, and we also need to make a few bucks. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just a different world, I guess.
So like this is lowballing it here. Like I average about 36 concerts a year. Average.
Okay.
Sometimes more, sometimes less, but
Sure.
around that. I'm lucky enough that I can do it.
Yeah.
Most can't. I mean, most can't because of, you know, certain artists are even for GA is $200 or more.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd say 200 is like almost the new average.
200 or more for GA.
Yeah.
I'm a GA person anyway, but I'm just saying in general, like, I think the highest I've ever spent on a ticket, and I'll be honest, was $180, but that was Metallica GA.
And again,
I was
that's
front row.
By today's standards, that's amazing.
Because we were part of the
fan club. Yeah.
It was $180. I was in Philadelphia. Literally, you couldn't really touch the stage, but I was barrier.
Okay. Yeah. There's not many shows where you can do that. I mean, $180 gets you a not very good seat most of the time these days. I mean,
Raptors.
Yeah, I'm not going to say how much I paid. I don't know if I should even mention the band that it was. But the most I won't. I'll say this: the most I ever paid to see a show was a lot more than that, and it was not a good seat. It was not a good seat at all. And I only did it because my partner really wanted to see this band, and so I did it for her. It was a gift kind of thing. I'll tell you what though, there's one bargain that's still left out there. My partner just went to see the See Here Now festival in Asbury Park.
Yeah.
And for the same price that I paid, that was the most I'd ever paid for a ticket. She got to see like 25 bands.
Yeah.
25 bands that she wanted to see. She could have seen a lot more than that. You know what I mean? So, that I guess like the festivals are like the last frontier of an affordable show or a good bargain, at least for a show.
Well, it depends. Honestly, and I'm not a festival person. Okay, like if they had another Ozfest, my ass would be there. If they had another Mayhem Fest, I would be there. It's an all-day thing. I get to, one day PNC, one day you get to see everything you possibly want. You don't really miss anybody.
Right.
But like me going to, say, Blue Ridge or Louder Than Life or any of that stuff, it's not. I mean, I don't camp out. I'm not a camp out person.
I hear you.
I'm not a. I mean, I would do it once just to get it out of my system, just to see how it is. Experience it once. But here's my thing. It's, what do you call it? Bands overlap. How am I going to go see?
Yeah, it's tough.
You have Evanescence at this time, and then you have a couple minutes later somebody else on the stage over.
Yeah, you're forced to choose. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
You can't get in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a small what do you call it? Club finder person, or what do you call it? What you mentioned earlier, PNC or Starland Ballroom. Those are where you find me the most.
Yeah.
Those are like they're like literally second homes.
Well, what's nice about both of those venues is that they're very good at getting bands that certainly could be playing larger venues.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly why that is. I don't know if it's a business thing, or I don't know if bands really like both of those venues. I don't know what it is, but
or it's on the way.
Or I mean, that's certainly a big part of it, right? Like, we're right in the middle between New York City and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And yet we're still a viable market. You know what I mean? It's not like the market here is not as big, and I'm getting into business terms here, but the market and the demographic here is not as big as New York.
Oh no.
But it's big enough that it makes sense to play it.
We have Clifton, we have Holmdel, we have Sayreville, New Jersey, We have Asbury,
Yeah.
and that's really about it. I mean, yeah, you said Clifton. I'm saying that there's really not that going this way. There's not that much.
But due to the location of both of the places that we're talking about, you know, there's a lot of towns and cities that are within like an hour drive.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll pull audiences from all over the state, really, I guess is the point. You know,
I mean, we do have Atlantic City too, but I'm just saying
that's almost Philadelphia though. Like it's almost like a different market, you know.
Like I'm just saying around here, this is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
You have Dingbats, you have Starland, you have PNC Arts Center, you have actually the State Theater.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what I love about Starland? Because I've played there with the WAG.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the WAGs played there a couple times. They played there once before I was in the band and once when I was in the band. And I also played there with Lost Romance opening for King's X there. And there's something about the way the building is laid out. So when you play most rooms, especially when you're talking about, you know, more than 1,000 people or so, usually you can see like the first few rows of people and then it's black. There's something about the Starland where you can see everybody in that room. Like I might not necessarily see all the facial details, but it's not like I just see 3 rows and then a sea of black. When you're on stage there and that place is packed, you see a sea of people. And it's really cool.
You have the left bar, you have the right bar, you have the bar in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and it kind of it's a club, but it kind of goes up in tiers.
Yeah.
And I think just the way the tiers are structured, it makes for a really cool visual when you're on stage there. And you know, when you can see people, it's easier to connect with people.
I mean, and the sound is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen a lot of great shows there. Yeah.
And the other place that I thought had real, even though it was very, very small, the Saint, what do you call it? The sound at the Saint was phenomenal, even though that you were shoulder to shoulder.
You know, it's so funny. I posted about the Saint maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was just kind of randomly thinking about Asbury Park. So for those, how do I say this? Yeah, there's a generation of musicians in Asbury Park right now that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
And they don't remember the Asbury Park that you and I grew up with. You know, and the Asbury Park that you and I grew up with could be a pretty scary place, and it was definitely run down. And let's be honest, you know, like Asbury Park is still struggling. You know, if you go on the other side of the train tracks, it's still Asbury Park. But
yeah,
you know, from kind of Main Street down to the beach has gone through quite a bit of a renaissance. And but what I'm getting at is that there was a long time where there weren't a lot of music venues in Asbury Park. You had the old Asbury Lanes, you had the Stone Pony, and you had the Saint. You know, at one point the Wonder Bar came in, but it wasn't like it is now, where there's music all over the town and it's a very trendy, hip place now. For a while, it was, you know, you really couldn't pay people to go to Asbury Park, and then, you know, it went through a period where like the gays came in and they made it all nice, and it was great.
Yeah.
You know, I loved going there then, but a lot of people were still afraid to come because they didn't want to be seen in a quote unquote gay town, you know?
Yep.
But all throughout that time, the Saint was putting on some awesome shows, man. And if you look at the roster of people that came through the Saint, I mean, it's staggering. It's staggering. Like everyone from 9 Inch Nails to Jewel came through the Saint. And they really kind of held that town together and that music scene together for a while. And it's a shame that I don't know what the official status is right now. I don't believe they're having shows at the moment, but
yeah, I don't think so either.
yeah, I believe they're sort of trying to reinvent and probably relocate, but hopefully they can get back on their feet because they cared when nobody did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm doing a lot of like old man get off my lawn talking tonight.
That's all good though. Freaking.
Got to be me, right?
Yeah. So what are you guys up to now?
Oh, geez. So the WAG actually has a pretty important show for us coming up next week. First of all, we're going to be in Asbury Park this weekend at the Porch Fest. But next weekend, October 7th, I can't believe it's October already.
Yeah, me neither.
So we've been doing the show. We call it our Beatles Spectacular. And for those who don't know, the WAG is heavily influenced by the Beatles. And from time to time, we'll perform these tribute shows to the Beatles. Now, what's cool about this, though, is that like we're not a cover band. We're not a tribute band. We don't want to be a cover band or a tribute band. So what we do is we kind of open for ourselves. Like we start out with a set of our own music, and then we get to play, some of our favorite music, which is the Beatles. So we're actually doing that on October 7th at a place called the Triad Theater in New York City, which is like maybe a 5-minute walk from Strawberry Fields Central Park, pretty much the neighborhood that John Lennon lived in for many years. And, we're really excited to be able to bring that show to a venue in a neighborhood like that. And I think we've done this show or something similar to it probably 5 times here in New Jersey. And we've sold it out 4 times. Most recently, we sold it out at the Vogel in Red Bank, New Jersey. So we're really excited to be able to take the show to New York City and start branching out. And, hopefully it'll be a cool way to not only give our fans a cool and fun show, but, we're hoping that this allows us to branch out to people who, maybe are not familiar with the WAG, but obviously they're familiar with the Beatles and, maybe can't afford the Paul McCartney tickets and weren't able to ever see the Beatles. So, we'll give them a little bit of us and then we'll give them a little bit of what they know and love and kind of grow that way. So that's coming up. And then, after that, we've got a run of theater shows coming up. We do a couple Halloween themed shows and then we do a couple Christmas shows. We're doing one down in Vineland, New Jersey at the Landis Theater, which is another really cool venue that you should check out if you get a chance. It's it actually used to be a movie theater, probably holds about 800 to 1,000 people. Great sound. They get a lot of really great bands in there. We're doing one at the Strand Theater in Lakewood, Middletown Arts Center. Actually, I think we've got 2 coming up at the Strand Theater. We've got both the Halloween and the Christmas show coming up. And then we've got a lot of cool stuff that I probably shouldn't really talk about just yet for 2024, but it's looking like 2024 is going to be another big year. Some more touring. Oh, by the way, we're doing a quick run up to, we're doing a show up in Burlington, Vermont, November. And then we go up to the Portland, Maine area the next day. So I think I think we're going to see if we can do more of that kind of branching out and kind of expanding our territory, if you will. Okay. So that's what the WAG's got going on. And outside of that, playing with Natalie Farrell this Friday in New York City. It'll be her first time in New York City, and she's also doing Porch Fest. I'm going to be a busy guy at Porch Fest. I'm actually playing with Natalie, the WAG, and then Jared Clemens at Porch Fest.
Oy.
Yeah. I've got a few shows coming up with Remember Jones in November, doing the Amy Winehouse tribute. And, somewhere around New Year's Eve, I'm going to try to find a time to take a nap.
They say it's good to be busy.
It's so good. And, I'm a little bit of a late bloomer with this. I've been playing music all my life, but I didn't really start being a working musician until about 5 or 6 years ago. And, I feel very fortunate to be as busy as I am. A lot of people my age are giving it up, and
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just getting started. Yeah.
So do you have any messages you would like to say to your fans?
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the people who support. I actually did a post about this on social media maybe a couple months ago, where I feel bad sometimes because my social media it's very promotional, and it's a lot of, hey, I'm playing here and I'm playing there, and buy tickets for this and pre-order this album. And I ask a lot of my supporters, and the WAG asks a lot of our supporters. All the bands that I work with, we all ask a lot. We ask a lot of people's time and a lot of people's money. And for whatever it's worth, I just hope everyone knows how much it means to us. And as the bar keeps getting raised higher and the venues keep getting bigger and we keep asking for more support, we hope that that fuels us. We don't want to let you down. And we're busting our asses. We're working really hard to make sure that we're worth all that support. So just thank you. And other than that, just these are crazy times we're living in, for a lot of reasons. Just make sure you keep checking in on each other. Make sure that you keep making sure that your friends and your loved ones are okay. Sometimes the people that don't say much are the ones that you really got to worry about. A lot of us are really good at kind of holding back the things that might be getting us down. So just checking on your loved ones, make sure they're all right. Checking on yourself too, make sure you're okay. And we'll find a way through this craziness.
So would you like to drop all your handles?
Yeah. I'll start with the WAG because I was really kind of here to talk about that tonight.
Yeah.
You can find us at www.thewagband.com. And by the way, the name of the band is The WAG, not The WAG Band, but all the handles are at The WAG Band. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's YouTube. If you want to follow me personally, you can find me at Joshua Van Ness Music, JOSHUAVANNESS, so 2 N's and 2 S's. That's good for Facebook. That's good for Instagram. That's good for TikTok. And we'd really love the support. So thank you.
I'm just going to let you guys know once again, this is on Concert Junkies Rob and John Facebook, Concert Junkies Rob and John YouTube. Twitch is just Concert Rob. And if you need any holiday greetings or anything, I am now on Cameo as well. So
I love it.
That is just Robert M. Rosenthal. You can find me there. And we do have for that because I have them on hand. Not do have a website, but I'm doing more on hand these days.
Guys, support this cat because he spends so much time and so much energy supporting the music scene, especially the local music scene. Rob, thank you for everything that you do, man. We do appreciate you, and it probably feels like a thankless job sometimes, but know that we see you and we do appreciate you.
I appreciate that. I would like to thank you and have a great night.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Glad we could finally get this in.
Yep.